What's up, everyone? This is Josh from East West Healing, and today I want to give you our thoughts on collagen powders. They've hit this industry by storm. I just want to give you some of our thoughts. But before we jump in, hit that like button, show us a little support. Hit that subscription button, show us a little more support. And hit that notification button so every week when we put out a video, which is on every single Wednesday, you get notified. Let's jump in. We've been using collagen literally since 2000. I remember we took a course with the Czech Institute, HLC2, Holistic Lifestyle Coach Level 2, and there was a teacher, Dr. Oliver, and he was introducing it to people and he was selling in the course. So of course, you take a course and everyone's buying it. So we bought one, right? It sat in my cupboard for probably 6 months to a year before I used it, before I jumped in and researched it. And back then, Great Lakes Gelatin was the only company selling it. You can check our description. We have a link if you're interested in, seeing which one we would use if we use one. It's in the description. But we like them for a few reasons. Number one, it's a small family business, and we like supporting small families. Number two, it's the only one we've been using since 2000, and they're the OGs when it comes to collagen. Everyone else is just a player. So, what are some of our thoughts on collagen? I think it's being overused, and I know this because when we first got introduced to it, it was like, we're using it all day, every day. We're putting it in our coffee. We're putting it in our smoothies. We're putting it in our meat. And here's the thing. Yes, it's wonderful. It's got amino acids. It's better than your protein powders that are out there. But there's three things that I don't like about it. Obviously, the first is, or this is the first of the four, I should say. People are overusing it. They're overusing it and they're relying on it as their protein, which takes away from the other proteins they should be taking in, right? And I truly believe that when you look at this pro-metabolic world, that everyone is getting so excited about carbs, they're forgetting about protein. And protein is just as important, but we have to focus on the types of proteins we're taking in, right? Is it dense enough or is it too light? Are we getting minerals and fat-soluble vitamins or not, right? If you compare chicken to organ meats, it's a huge difference when you talk about nutrients. But if you pair collagen to, let's say, a piece of steak, there's a big difference when you talk about density. So we really look at these things because you have to look at the second thing, which is sustainability. When you talk about collagen, there's no sustainability. Answer this question. If you sat down and had 8 ounces of orange juice with some collagen mixed in, right? Here are your macros. And you had some eggs with an orange and they would have the same exact macros. Which one would sustain you more? It's pretty simple, right? So there's no sustainability, and that goes with people overusing it. We truly believe that most people should be taking in 10 to 15% of their total protein from collagen. You don't have to use it. I don't use it at all anymore, right? I have found over the years that denser proteins work way better for me. They sustain me. I don't have to chase my energy. I don't have to chase my blood sugar. I don't have to eat every 2 hours. And things like collagen just don't do that. They don't create that sustainability. It's the difference between putting a log on a fire or putting a piece of paper on the fire, right? The third is when we talk about minerals, when you talk about metabolic health, when you talk about the enzymatic reactions in your body, when you talk about energy production and producing antioxidants and putting money in the bank and changing that internal environment to heal, collagen won't assist in that process at all, right? It's void of minerals. So I look at everything from this standpoint. I'm not saying you can't do it, just don't overdo it, right? So there's not enough minerals. We're not getting the minerals we need from the copper, the magnesium, the sodium, potassium, the list goes on. It's not offering us any of this, right? And the last is fat-soluble vitamins, right? When you look at proteins, you're going to see tons of minerals. This is where you get tons of your minerals, right? Superfoods, whitefish, fatty fish, shellfish, organ meats, eggs, dairy. You can't get any of those minerals in collagen, and then you can't get any of the fat-soluble vitamins that are in there in collagen, which is vitamin A, D, E, K, right? One of the most important, vitamin A. Why? Because it's the only fat-soluble vitamin we use to load copper into ceruloplasmin so we can produce energy. It supports thyroid health, adrenal health, thyroid receptors, the list goes on. So it's a very important fat-soluble vitamin, and you're not going to get it in collagen, right? So it's people just overusing it. it doesn't create sustainability, it's void of minerals, and it's void of fat-soluble vitamins. So like I said, I would say that if you're gonna use it, try to get about 10 to 15% of your total intake of protein from there. Yeah, maybe you put it in your coffee. Who cares? It's not gonna do anything. You might like it, great. But don't use it as a primary source of protein, number two, in a meal. Maybe you're making ground beef and you want to add some non-inflammatory proteins to it. So you add a little collagen. Maybe you're having a cup of broth and you want a little more protein. So you add a little collagen. You can do things like that. So don't use it as your primary protein. And then three, make sure you're getting some other more of these more power proteins, as I mentioned. I'm not saying you can't have muscle meats. I'm just saying when you look at the nutrient content, the white fish, the shellfish, the fatty fish, the organ meats, the eggs, the dairy. These are the things where you're going to get tons of your minerals and tons of your fat-soluble vitamins. At the same time, lastly, take a step back now that you're watching this and think, well, yeah, I was thrusted into this pro-metabolic world or into this collagen world and I'm overusing it. And now that I'm thinking about it, it is not sustaining me, right? Maybe I need more of the chickens, the steaks, the porks, the lamb, the organ meats, the fishes, the shellfishes, the fatty fishes, etc., to provide more sustainability in my system long term versus having the collagen I have to eat in an hour or two. We shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have to, put wood on the fire all day and chase it. We should be able to go and do what we want to do and come back and just attend to it because we're putting logs on it. So think about this. Think about it from a sustainability standpoint, a mineral standpoint, and a fat-soluble vitamin standpoint. If you still want to use it, great. Just find the balance and make sure you're getting other proteins to maybe support yourself a little bit differently. If you got questions, put them in the comment section. I'd love to create a great discussion around this because we just feel it is being overused. And I've said this from day one. If a lot of people just look at what they're doing and say, I've made some changes, but I'm still struggling, or I'm not losing weight, or I'm not fixing my thyroid. If we just start to do a little bit of the opposite of what we're doing, it'll easily propel us to that next level. And for a lot of people, it's eating different proteins that are more dense and more nutrient dense than all the collagen that we're taking in, or all the chicken we're taking in, or all the just steak we're taking in. Those are the three proteins most people eat, and you're not going to get all those nutrients, right, versus all those power proteins. So thanks for tuning in. I'm out.